Good evening, everyone. This is Melissa Thomas of Florida National News coming to you with the evening news rundown for your Thursday, August 6, 2020. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, for anyone who is a small business owner or wants to advertise or sponsor any of the Florida National News shows, we have 5 of them. Be sure to shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com. We'd love to get started with you, send you some information that you need. In the meantime, we're going to get you guys started with the latest COVID-19 reports globally here in the United States and in the state of Florida. So globally, the World Health Organization is reporting 18.6 million confirmed cases and over 702,000 confirmed deaths. Here in the United States, Johns Hopkins University is reporting over 4.8 million confirmed cases and over 159,000 confirmed deaths. Here in the state of Florida, the Department of Health is reporting over 510,000 confirmed cases and over 7,700 confirmed deaths. Jumping into our world story today, France is, quote, highly likely to see a second wave of COVID-19 in the autumn or winter. The Scientific Committee on the Disease made a statement published on the Health Ministry's website stating that France has a situation under control right now, but it is in a precarious position with a surge of virus circulation over the course of the summer. So the short-term future of the pandemic mainly lies in the hands of the population. That is what they said in their statement. Now, France could, quote, at any moment, lose control over the spread of the COVID-19, according to the council. Now, the virus has been recently circulating more actively with an increased loss of distancing and barrier measures since France lifted its lockdown back in May. And their lockdown lasted from March 17 to May 11, to be specific. And so far, France has reported 7,000 new cases in the last week after having brought the virus nearly under control after their strict nationwide lockdown. And of course, they're seeing a recent uptick in COVID-19 infections with hundreds of new clusters in recent weeks, notably among younger people. You guys have heard us reporting on this over the last couple of weeks. Younger people gathering at cafes or parties, or families that meet up for summer vacation. And this is in various locations. You guys have heard us talking about that. Now, France has registered, thousands of confirmed new infections, prompting some cities or regions to impose local restrictions amid reports of people ignoring social distancing and public mask wearing guidelines. Now, the rules on wearing masks outdoors took effect in the hardest hit areas as of Monday. And this is the latest move, and just to tighten the COVID-19 restrictions, because they already had a mask mandate in place. You heard us report a couple of weeks ago for them going indoor public places. But now if you're outdoors in a public place, you have to wear a mask as well. French officials have confirmed over 30,000 virus-related deaths since the pandemic began, which is one of Europe's highest death tolls, of course, surpassed by the UK. And French President Emmanuel Macron announced on Tuesday that the country's 320,000 home care workers would receive a coronavirus bonus of €500. So congrats to the home care workers there, given the fact that they are, in fact, essential workers. Now, jumping here to the United States, New York City is now going to impose COVID-19 checkpoints to enforce Governor Cuomo's statewide quarantine order for folks traveling into the state of New York. You guys heard us report the originally 31 hotspot states that they listed for travelers that are going to have to quarantine for 14 days if they come to New York. However, that list has expanded to 34 states and now also includes Puerto Rico. Mayor Bill de Blasio said that New York City would start implementing the checkpoints across all 5 boroughs to help enforce the quarantine order from travelers from those hotspots, of course, citing the ongoing national COVID-19 threat. The measure was announced on Wednesday and is the first significant effort by New York City specifically to help enforce the 14-day quarantine. Now, the governor said the quarantine itself is imperfect, and Mayor de Blasio admitted that New York City's new enforcement plan has some caveats as well. But the idea, according to the mayor, is to send a strong message to people that are coming in. So the checkpoints are going to be a bit varied. The city will implement them at key entry points into the city, and they will vary daily. So according to the NYC Sheriff's Office, they said the first checkpoint started at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday on the Staten Island side of the Goethals Bridge, the Bayonne Bridge, and Outer Bridge crossing, as well as the Holland Tunnel and Lincoln Tunnel. As of today, one appeared outside of Penn Station, and the other is planned for Port Authority. So anyone that's traveling in and out of New York, coming from the hotspot states, you're going to have a bit of a tough time. So far, travelers have been given state contact forms to fill out, and folks who are still coming in will be given those forms. Refusal to submit the form, though, will result in mandatory quarantine and a $2,000 fine, while failure to comply with the overall order can incur up to a $10,000 civil penalty. Not sure if it's worth it, guys, just saying. Mayor de Blasio says that the city stands ready to assist travelers who need a safe place to isolate for 14 days. The test and trace team has already made nearly 90,000 calls to travelers affected by the quarantine order and sent nearly 21,000 text messages. And New York City unfortunately snapped its 3-day streak recently of 0 confirmed COVID-19 deaths as of Wednesday, recording 1 in Brooklyn and 1 in the Bronx. But fortunately, they do continue to see progress from the original huge toll that they were seeing back in April, with hundreds of lives being lost per day. So that's good news for the state of New York. But New York City, along with the rest of the state, is in the 4th and final phase of Governor Cuomo's reopening plan. But New York City took a slightly modified approach to the last two steps, choosing to table the indoor dining and mall and museum reopenings indefinitely. So if you wanted to dine indoors, you won't be able to do that for now. And if you're trying to shop at a mall or museum, that won't be happening for the moment. But in the meantime, we'll continue to keep you updated. Jumping here to the state of Florida, Orange County Public Schools plans to add the mask mandate to student dress code. The OCPS decided to present the code of conduct on Tuesday night, and the mask was included as part of the student dress code. It includes information on a variety of incidents, including but not limited to cheating, fighting, skipping class, tardiness, and disrespect. So, of course, new to this year, given the COVID-19 pandemic, students are required to wear a face mask, covering, or shield. Now, this requirement will be waived with approval from the principal only if a student is medically unable to wear a face mask, face covering, or shield. Now, this particular school year, the 2020 to 2021 school year in Orange County, as you guys know, will begin on August 10th virtually. And then on August 21st, students who elect to do so can begin face-to-face instruction. We're going to take a quick commercial break and come back with some more stories for you.
Big business and special interest groups have begun their attacks on Rick Singh on social media, radio, television. They want to make sure he's no longer in office. Have someone, anyone but Rick Singh in office. And the reason is simple. They don't want to pay their fair share and expect you to pay it for them. Now, the question is, do you want to pay it for them?
All right, guys, welcome back to the Evening News Rundown. Thanks for sticking with us. In our next U.S. story, Defense Secretary Esper saying that the Beirut blast that took place earlier this week was probably an accident, which goes counter to President Donald Trump's statement that he made on Tuesday, stating that it was an apparent attack. President Trump was citing that he spoke with generals and he said that they seemed to think it was an attack, but Secretary Esper said on Wednesday that he believes that it is probably an accident. Most believe it was an accident as reported. That's what he said during an Aspen security conference in Colorado. Now, Esper said that information was being collected to determine the cause of the blast because, of course, this is very recent and things are ongoing. He said it was really, really bad, but it could have been much worse. Now, Lebanese Interior Minister Mohammed Fahmy told a TV station in Beirut that the disaster was apparently caused by the deterioration of tons of ammonium nitrate that had been stored in a port warehouse since it was confiscated from a cargo ship impounded back in 2013. Of course, this is something that's ongoing, so we'll continue to keep you guys updated. A senior U.S. Defense Department official and a member of the U.S. intelligence community told the Associated Press that there were no indications of that the Beirut explosion was a result of an attack by either a nation state or proxy forces. Again, we'll continue to keep you updated. But that brings us to our audience question. Now that we're hearing, the two different sides from Secretary Esper and from what we heard with President Trump, what are your thoughts on the Beirut blast? Do you feel that this was an accident? Do you feel that this is an attack? And who do you feel we should be listening to for those reports? Do you think we need to defer to President Trump or listen to Defense Secretary Esper? Leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you guys. In the meantime, in our next U.S. story, today does mark the 55th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act. and in honor of the recent passing of Congressman John Lewis, who fought for voting rights for all Americans. The House Democrats have actually passed the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. And on the occasion, U.S. Congresswoman Val Demings released a statement on it saying, quote, 55 years ago today, the Voting Rights Act was signed into law, but we know that the fight against racial discrimination at the ballot box is far from over as Donald Trump and Republicans in Washington and here in my state of Florida continue to suppress the vote. Heroes like Congressman John Lewis shed blood so that every single American could vote, and it is our duty to carry on his fight. Democrats in the House have passed legislation to restore this important law, but Donald Trump and his Republican allies in Congress are once again putting their own interests ahead of the American people by refusing to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. The best way for my Republican colleagues to honor Representative John Lewis is to support his life's work by protecting the right to vote. And of course, we here at Florida National News continue to extend our thoughts and prayers and condolences to the Lewis family in his death, of course. Now, jumping on to our Florida story for you, our next Florida story, a judge is now hearing or has heard emergency arguments to push the delay of Florida schools reopening. You guys heard us report a couple of weeks ago about the Florida Education Association bringing a lawsuit against the state of Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, to stop the reopening of Florida schools. So with some students set to return to classrooms on Monday, as in a few days from now, state officials and Florida's largest teachers union, the Florida Education Association, are still locked in that battle. Now, last month, they filed a lawsuit against Governor DeSantis, Education Commissioner Richard Corcoran, and other defendants, alleging that their July 6th order issued by Corcoran violates the state constitution. That's what the lawsuit is about, which guarantees Floridians the right to safe and secure public education. Now, for their part, Governor DeSantis and Mr. Corcoran this week asked a Miami-Dade County Circuit Court to pass the lawsuit, to toss it out. It's calling it a, quote, misguided effort to obtain a judicial mandate that forbids any school in the state from providing in-person instruction to any student. Now, Corcoran's order requires all school districts to reopen brick and mortar schools at least 5 days a week sometime in August, unless state and local health officials direct otherwise. Now, Kenneth Coffey, who is a lawyer who's representing the teachers union, said, quote, the circumstances that brought us here today are dramatic, tragic, and well known to all of us. Now, Circuit Judge Spencer Eag was the one doing the hearing virtually on Wednesday, and the union on Tuesday filed a motion asking Eag to issue a temporary injunction to, quote, stop the reopening of schools until it is safe to do so. Now, Wednesday's hearing was focused on setting up a schedule in the case, which the teachers union is trying to speed up since some schools districts are slated to open on Monday. Now, in a state motion filed on Monday to dismiss the lawsuit, lawyers for Governor DeSantis, Corcoran, and the Florida Board of Education, they argue that Corcoran's order doesn't force schools to reopen. The state's lawyers wrote, quote, the emergency order does not mandate that all students and teachers return to school in person in August. They say Corcoran's directive, quote, contains no absolute statewide mandate requiring in-person classes without regard to health or safety. So this is a back and forth that's going to continue for a while, guys. We'll continue to keep you updated. So far, a dozen school districts are opening next week, with 6 alone opening on Monday. Other districts have chosen to push back their reopening dates to the end of August. So stay tuned. We'll continue to keep you updated. In the meantime, we're going to take another quick commercial break and bring you your business and sports stories.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
All right, guys, welcome back. And jumping into our business story, just a bit of a build-up for what you guys have been hearing us report on with Secretary Mike Pompeo, and as it relates to working with Chinese businesses. He is now urging all U.S. companies to cut ties with Chinese tech companies and apps. He made that urge in a statement yesterday. He wants, U.S. companies to bar Chinese apps from their app stores, signaling that U.S. efforts to banish Chinese technology from U.S. computers and smartphones will extend well beyond the push to force a sale or shutdown of TikTok. And of course, you guys heard us report about that earlier this week in terms of President Trump leaning towards Microsoft going ahead and buying TikTok. And that deal is still in the works, but Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was saying this is much bigger than just that particular transaction. He said Wednesday that, quote, untrusted Chinese apps like TikTok and WeChat pose significant threats to the personal data of American citizens and are potential tools for Chinese content and censorship. He also called for companies to refuse to make their apps available for phones made by Huawei Technologies Corp. and for ending the use of Chinese cloud providers such as Tencent Holding Limited, Alibaba Group Holding Limited, and Baidu Inc. for sensitive American data. He said, quote, we don't want companies to be complicit in Huawei's human rights abuses or the Chinese Communist Party's surveillance apparatus. In addition, he also wants folks to kind of lay off of the use of these sort of underwater data apparatus as well. He said the US will seek to ensure that China can't harvest data transmitted via undersea cable, especially that laid down by Huawei subsidiary, Huawei Marine. Now, President Trump has pledged that TikTok will be banned from the US by September 15th, unless its US operations are sold to an American company. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that as well. Jumping down to sports very quickly, the Indy 500 this year will race without fans because the venue is just that big. Originally, they were hoping to have the audience attendance at 50%, then brought it down to about 12.5, but given that the venue holds 300,000 fans, they realized that 12.5% is still a lot of people. And given the current national risk for COVID-19, they decided to go ahead and hold the race with no fans. So if that's something you were looking forward to, you'll have to watch it at home. But in the meantime, we're going to take another quick commercial break and come back with the Entertainment 444 with the lovely Jamesia Stoudemire out of Los Angeles. Stay tuned.
It takes experience to know the difference in property values. For example, this business is not the same as this business. And this house is definitely not the same as this house. And this, well, this is definitely not the same as this. And that's why it's important to have someone who understands true property appraisals to help our community grow, while making sure everyone pays their fair share. Because experience matters. Re-elect Rick Singh for Orange County Property Appraiser.
Welcome back, everyone, as we wrap up with the Entertainment 444. It is Thursday, so you know what's coming. The lovely Jamesia Stoudemire is out of Los Angeles and joins us today. Welcome, Jamesia.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. Very interesting news about that TikTok. You know, this how that whole thing's just escalating and Chinese apps being banned.
Exactly. They should be interesting for folks that have been using it and becoming popular on it. So
yeah, those major influencers that are, you know.
It looks like we can't hear you. All right. It looks like we can't hear you for the moment, though. So double check your your pod very quickly. Oh, okay.
Can you hear me a little bit better?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
So, all right.
Well, no, sorry, guys. But I'm just saying the Reels, since it's now launched yesterday, I tried my first one. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, so it's integrated now. You know, Facebook's known for that, and they own Instagram. But no, thank you guys. We'll get this Entertainment 444 started. And again, this is Jamesia Stoudemire out of Los Angeles, California, and we just want to say thank you for tuning in today. We're going to get you started off with number one. Ren and Stimpy show is coming back on Comedy Central. All right, guys. So Ren and Stimpy was created by John Chris Belushi. It ran 5 seasons on Nickelodeon. It originally launched as a series in 1991, along with Nickelodeon's Nicktoons Push, which in that time frame, if you're really like a 90s nostalgia or born in the 80s like myself, remember Rugrats and Doug's, they were all a part of that package. So now Comedy Central, with their new president of entertainment, Chris McFarlane, are relaunching a lot of animated series, which including Beavis and Butthead, Daria, Jody, which is a spinoff of one of the Daria character, African American character on Daria, and also Clone High. So what's happening is, so Ren and Stimpy again was back in Nickelodeon days. It followed the adventures of a crazy Chihuahua and his best feline friend. So the show got a lot of kickback because it was very crude humor. It had alcohol. It had, what else did it have in it? Politics and religion. Actually, a lot of segments were edited to remove it because it had so much conflict and had no moral lessons in it at all. But it was a hilarious show, which had got a lot of traction and became like very popular. So with Comedy Central launching all these animations, the really foresight in doing that is to really reconnect with the younger audiences, as well as with COVID-19 and the pandemic taking place, animation can be made from home. So it makes it a lot easier, you know, to keep their staff safe, and it's great content. I mean, I feel like right now Comedy Central is kind of aligning itself with an Adult Swim, you know, Rick and Morty being a great show. With these type of shows, the 90s nostalgia, it'll definitely be great for merchandise and other IPAs that they can grow. So alrighty, moving on to number 2. Viola Davis, LeBron James among honorees of the AAFCA TV Honors. So what is AAFCA? The African American Film Critic Association. So they announced their honorees, which included also Kenya Barris, LeBron James, Viola Davis, and there's several other honorees. But touching base on these ones, they will be honored in their second annual virtual event that will take place later this month on August 22nd. It is an invitation-only streamed event, and at that event, they'll be honoring Viola Davis for her Best Actress in ABC's How to Get Away with Murder, LeBron James for his Quibi short-form film, I Promise, and as well as Kenya Barris will be awarded the TV Icon, who's not pictured here. Kenya Barris will be honored the TV Icon for his contributions to TV from ABC's Blackish and Black AF on Netflix and other contributions in television. So that'll be cool to tune in. Maybe we'll be possibly be able to get you guys some behind the scenes content if we can get that press pass to show you guys some things. But it's an invite only event, so if you're interested, make sure you check out their website to find out who more of their honorees are. All right, moving on to number 3. Who's the Boss Reboot in development with Tony Danza and Alyssa Milano. So again, another classic, which originally the series aired in 1984 to 1992. So for my young ones, you may not know this one, but this was a classic. It ran for 8 seasons, totaling 196 episodes. So Tony, and the cool thing about this, it was always a great family show. So with the reboot, Tony Danza and Alyssa Milano had Tony Danza was a babysitter who was a former baseball player and became the babysitter at the house of a single parent mom. And so now in the sequel and the reboot, they're going to really focus on that generational difference. So Tony being older, Alyssa Milano being younger, and really talking about generational differences, worldviews, and parenting styles. Will be some of the things that they touch on. I'm definitely excited to see that. Always have been a fan of Tony Danza and just the show in general. So make sure you guys check that out. We're not sure if we'll hear that classic theme song again, but just stay tuned, more to be announced. And our last one for the day, number 4, Party House devised COVID-19 guidelines will lose utilities. All right, so our Mayor Eric Garcetti is not, so this is the house actually. This is the house where on, I want to say Monday or late Sunday, a shooting took place. And this house is a mansion on Mulholland Drive where they actually had over 200 people when the police first arrived around 12 p.m. on Sunday. So just to give you some more details into that, it was one woman fatally did pass away. 2 other had gunshot wounds. But in this result, these parties have been happening. And now Mayor Eric Garcetti is fed up, especially with just the high risk numbers that are in LA and California in general. So what's going to be if you're so let's say these houses that have been having, and a lot of times these are rental properties like Airbnb, peer space, or vacant properties where you have a relationship with someone that allows you to be in that mansion. So what they're going to be doing, if the police LAPD arrives starting Friday and they verify a large party and the location has repeatedly engaged in doing so, within 48 hours, their power and lights they have the right to cut them off. So it's going to take a little delay to cut them off, but what it'll do is restrain those people or those properties from continuing to have these large parties, as again, it's already like having 200 people in a house already violates the health order that Mayor Eric Garcetti already had put in place. So definitely, everyone be safe out there, wear your mask and social distance so we can get over this. But again, this is Jamesia Stedemeyer. Thank you for tuning in to the Entertainment 444, and make sure you guys follow me at THE_ENT_mogul. And Melissa, back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that report. And part of me is scratching my head as to why would you want to be in a house with 200 something people like that? That's a lot of people.
The shots didn't happen until 12:45 a.m. that night. The police came at 12 p.m. So
That's
unless I'm
crazy.
stating that a little bit wrong,
Wow.
but still like 200 people, and the police didn't break it up. So that's what,
wow.
it's, and I get it. There's a struggle thing, but honestly, there shouldn't, more than 10, get out of here.
Right? Like I get it's a mansion. I know, folks trying to make their money during COVID-19, but man, that's a lot of people in one space.
And no mask coverings, as you saw in the picture. It's just, we gotta, even if I get it, people are tired of being in their house, but we gotta at least have someone going around with this sanitizer and put your mask on.
Something. Have somebody walking around with the Lysol, spray people's faces or something.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.
No problem. Thanks for being on with us. All right, guys, that does it here for us at the Evening News Rundown. If you haven't yet, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. You'll find us at Florida National News on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And a couple of our other Facebook pages include FNN News TV and FNN News Live. But tomorrow is Friday, so you guys know it is already an action-packed day. It starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, with Jenny Rosario de Casiano. She will be interviewing Alex Perez tomorrow, who's a writer, director, and the founder of the Actors Channel on YouTube. So looking forward to that interview for sure. And then, of course, I will be back at 5 p.m. with the Evening News Rundown, which is followed, of course, by the lovely Casey Hudson with the FNN Sports Take at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So be sure to tune in tomorrow for all that fun stuff. In the meantime, have a great rest of your Thursday evening. Take care.